And I'm back. Alright, sorry that I took so long to post another part to this story. It's just that I got really bad allergies and I got a little sick, so I wasn't able to record any videos, seeing as everything about this is all my voice, and I didn't want to give you guys some nasally sounding version of me, so I decided I would just wait a day or two, and after that, it's kind of gone away, but it's still there, so apologies if it still sounds a little weird, but let's get into the story. We immediately kick things off with Team 7 making their way toward the land of the waves. And on their way there, one thing would be kind of awkward, and that would be the fact that it is extremely quiet. I mean, literally, nobody is saying a word, and the only noises that you could hear is seemingly nature, or whenever Tazuna decides to go or makes any of his old man noises, you know what I mean? Like those noises that I'm pretty sure everyone has heard from an older person. But it would be at this point that Sakura, realizing that everything's kind of weird, the tension is just strange, would finally end up perking up and saying something, saying, "So, Sasuke, what do you think about the mission so far?" As Sasuke would ignore her, and she would finally, kind of get the hint about 10 seconds later, as she would then turn to Naruto and say, "So Naruto, what about your eyes?" as she would rub the back of her hair. From here, Naruto would turn towards the direction of Sakura before then explaining that his dojutsu is kind of weird. From what he's heard from Hiruzen, it seems to be the first dojutsu of its kind. He's not sure why it awakened because he doesn't even know who his parents are, but all that he does know is that his dojutsu is extremely powerful. Going on to explain that the abilities it grants is to pretty much be able to read his opponent's abilities and copy them instantly. Any fighting technique, any element, any jutsu, anything he can see, he can copy, with the exception of dojutsus, just because I think that might be a little too busted, and at that point it would just be, what if Naruto could copy everything he sees? Like, what if Naruto had every dojutsu? You know what I mean? And I don't really feel like doing that one today, so maybe I'll do that on another time, but not now. But anyways, after hearing that, Sakura would be extremely impressed at what Naruto's dojutsu capabilities are. As from here, Kakashi would go on to ask if it's much like the Sharingan in essence, seeing as Kakashi has copied over 1,000 jutsu with his Sharingan, as Naruto says that it's way better than the Sharingan, saying that the Sharingan, if anything, is like a watered down version of his dojutsu. And he would say this turning towards Sasuke before letting out a grin. But right as this happens, suddenly the two demon brothers would rush in, killing Kakashi in an instant, as Naruto and Sasuke, both realizing that they're in trouble, would react instantly, both taking down a brother, as Naruto would say, "Kakashi, you can come out now," as Kakashi would go on to pretty much reveal that he had never died in the first place, and he would go on to question the brothers, going on to question Tazuna as well, asking why in the world they just got attacked by two Chunin level ninjas, as Tazuna would go on to quickly apologize and just give some crazy sob story, saying that without their help, their village is pretty much going to go into complete poverty and they're never going to be able to escape the hole, as he would go on to pretty much tell them that if he doesn't help them, then his little grandson Inari is going to be sad, as he would just pretty much start guilt tripping Kakashi so unbelievably hard that Kakashi would pretty much have no choice but to just be like, fine. And so we would eventually have the team continuing on with their journey. As hours pass, you would suddenly see a white rabbit in the distance, as Naruto would quickly catch a glimpse of this, picking it up before saying, "This isn't supposed to," before you could hear the sounds of a gigantic blade whooshing towards their direction. Naruto in this moment would instantly duck, knowing that something was coming, as Kakashi would tell the squad to do the same, and suddenly, Zabuza would appear before performing his hidden mist jutsu. In this moment, Zabuza would appear in the shadows and begin to catch Naruto off guard, as instantly, Naruto would do the exact same thing back to Zabuza, as he would hold a kunai to his neck, and Zabuza from the shadows would say, "Impressive, Genin," as from here, Naruto instantly would get into a battle with Zabuza, as he would begin egging Zabuza on to use any and all techniques that he has available, and so, Naruto would begin copying everything and anything that Zabuza was using, at first beginning to be pushed back by Zabuza's incredible physical strength, but Naruto would start to copy that as well. His eyes would start straining, because at this point Naruto's having to go beyond his normal physical strength, and now his eyes have veins popping up on them, much like the Hyuga clan's dojutsu. As from here, Naruto would actually be the one who begins to push Zabuza back with his strength, as they would begin copying each other and using kunais like daggers. Naruto would begin pushing Zabuza onto the water, as Zabuza beginning to run on it would be shocked as Naruto would follow him into the battlefield in the water, and so they would continue clashing as Zabuza eventually begins to weave hand signs for the gigantic water dragon jutsu, saying, "This battle is making me grow tired." As from here, using this jutsu, he would try to end the fight instantly, but Naruto's own water dragon jutsu would come right back at Zabuza the second that Naruto would dodge Zabuza's attack, and this would leave Zabuza completely unconscious, as Kakashi, seeing Naruto's display of abilities, would be utterly shocked, thinking that Naruto has potential the likes has never been seen before. That kid just learned how to take a battle up to like literal Jonin level in seconds, not to mention he previously had shown that he can keep up with Kakashi, who's one of the best in the Hidden Leaf Village. After this would happen, Naruto would see 3 Senbon flying in towards the direction of Zabuza, as they would all connect on his neck, and it would cause Zabuza's heart to completely stop. At this moment, a tracking ninja would end up arriving, taking Zabuza away, as the entire team would end up making their way back to Tazuna's house, where Naruto would begin to train in the forest, working on anything and everything, trying to see if there's any way that Naruto could use the abilities he stole from Zabuza to use in combination attacks, seeing if there's anything that Naruto could use and improve upon. And as this would be happening, you would just pretty much have Sasuke watching in the background, as Naruto would be wanting to figure out what exactly it is that makes Naruto so strong. How does he train? What does he do? Because it can't just be that dojutsu. Can it? Is his dojutsu really that much superior to the Sharingan? But as Sasuke would be thinking this, Naruto would notice that Sasuke's watching him and would actually begin showing off. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but like I personally play basketball. So there's this thing that everybody who plays basketball does. They like if a car's driving by, they start shooting cool shots and they start like showing off and stuff like that in the hopes that the person driving in the car is going to be like, "Wow, that kid's good." Or it's going to be an NBA scout being like, "Yo, dude, we want you in the league." But anyways, yeah, Naruto would start doing that kind of crazy showing off. Like Naruto's using moves as if there's a bunch of girls watching him right now. That's the kind of showing off that Naruto would start doing, which would cause Sasuke to get even more upset at Naruto, causing Sasuke to just walk off. From here, Naruto would continue training, and we would finally transition to Naruto training and trying to see if he could do the things that Naruto could, but he would ultimately realize he just couldn't. Without his Sharingan, Sasuke had absolutely no hope of keeping up with him. As from here, we would jump skip to the day where Kakashi would finally end up teaching them the tree walking jutsu. As from here, Naruto watching Kakashi perform it once would instantly copy it like it was nothing, and Sasuke seeing this would get extremely annoyed. Following this, Sakura would go on to learn it within the next 10 minutes, as Sasuke would try over and over and over and over again, until finally, Sakura coming up to him would begin to ask him if he would like some pointers, as Sasuke, being very prideful, wanting to get it on his own, would say no, but after hours would pass, she would finally end up teaching him a couple of things, and then Sasuke would finally start to understand how the jutsu works, as suddenly Sasuke would stop the training midway through and would just turn to Sakura as he begins to just kind of start venting to her, saying that it's so annoying that Naruto could just learn everything instantly, and Naruto would have been coming to check up on Sasuke and see how his progress was coming, would actually overhear this. Sasuke would then go on to say that it's not fair that Naruto just gets everything handed to him in a silver platter, and Naruto hearing this would instantly get extremely upset, because that's absolutely not how his life has been. Naruto would come out before saying, "I get everything handed to me on a silver platter? That's funny coming from you, an Uchiha brat who literally was born with an amazing dojutsu. I didn't even know what my eyes were until I was 10 years old, Sasuke. Do you know how much it hurt to have all of the villagers call me a demon because of my red eyes? Even though there was an entire clan out there who had eyes just like me, yet they weren't demons? Do you know what it felt like to be ostracized from the village and have to realize that the only reason that anybody will look at me, much less care about me, is if I'm powerful? Do you get that, Sasuke? Do you know how hard I've worked for this? You're out of your mind if you think I'm just gonna let you say that about me," Naruto would say, as Sasuke, hearing all of this, would just kind of stay silent as Naruto would walk away like a boss, and Kakashi, seeing all this, would look at Naruto as he would say he understands why he said that, but he would go on to tell Naruto that he didn't have to, saying that that little speech was not good for the team as a whole, saying that since they're on the same team, they're not in a competition, as Naruto turning to Kakashi would say, "It sure does seem like it. Ever since I can remember, Sasuke's never been able to handle not being the strongest. He hated the fact that I was able to surpass him, and every time that he was able to beat me, he would rub it in my face and make sure I knew about it. He's a sore winner. Well, now he can be a sore loser." As Kakashi turning to Naruto would say that what he's saying may be true, but what will he have if he doesn't have friends or teammates? As Naruto turning to Kakashi would say, "I'll have me. That's what I'll have. I'll have myself." As he walks away, and Kakashi would begin training Sakura and Sasuke on different techniques, combination attacks, and things of the sort. And as they would be training, Naruto would be doing his own training, learning in new techniques and figuring out new combinations, or not actually new techniques, but just really combinations. Eventually though, the day of the bridge builder mission fight would finally come around, and as they would all pretty much just be relaxing on the bridge, suddenly Haku and Zabuza would both appear on the bridge as a thick mist would envelop the area, and Naruto, realizing that somebody new had just entered the battlefield, would instantly rush into the fight to face off against his new opponent, smirking as he knows that now he's gonna get the opportunity to not only just copy that guy's abilities, but his as well. And Zabuza would have been thinking that Haku would have probably been a perfect match for him, seeing as there's no way that this kid can copy Kekkei Genkai, right? But the second that the battle would start, Haku would begin using his Kekkei Genkai abilities to immediately pick off the fight with Naruto, knowing that his strength was nothing to be laughed at. And as this would be happening, Naruto would basically just be focusing on dodging all of these ice attacks, making Haku angrier and angrier as he would pretty much begin to mock him during the fight, much like Spider-Man would, but in an even more disrespectful and savage way. Think more like Black Spider-Man. Eventually, Naruto would literally yawn mid-fight, as suddenly he would go on to tell Naruto that if he's gonna use that attack, he should do it like this, before performing Haku's own attacks against him. Suddenly, Haku, seeing that this was taking place, would begin to be overwhelmed, as Sasuke, who was watching all of this previously as he saw that Naruto was kind of on the back foot, would have had a smile on his face. But the second that Naruto started absolutely destroying Haku, Sasuke's smile would have instantly went away, and he would have gotten super jealous seeing Naruto fight at this level with Haku. This would lead him to get really insecure about himself and would rush into the fight trying to prove it to himself that he's able to keep up with Naruto, but unfortunately for him, he just wasn't, and instead he ends up actually getting in the way of Naruto's attack, causing Naruto to actually have to undo the attack, leading Haku to quickly blitz in towards the direction of Naruto and land a blow that would actually leave a hole in Naruto's chest. At this point, Naruto would fall onto the ground as Sasuke, realizing what he had just done, would look at Naruto and feel terrible about what he had just done. Feeling so much guilt and shame, Sasuke would unlock his Sharingan in that moment as Naruto would wake up in a different plane of existence. Naruto would stare at a cage which would be holding the nine-tailed fox, and Naruto, staring into it, would realize that this must be the reason they all called him a monster. Naruto would turn to Kurama before asking him if he's the monster that all the villagers have been referring to, as Kurama would go on a growl at Naruto, telling him that he's not speaking to him, and Naruto would say, "I don't need you to, I just need your power." And from here, Naruto would pretty much wake up, and the second that he would do so, Naruto would actually be enveloped with the one-tailed cloak. That's all that Naruto could muster at this point, and the reason he could is because of the fact that his body was just so much more powerful. But because he had never done this before, Naruto could only muster up one tail unless, he was willing to risk getting completely taken over. But with that being the case, Naruto blitzes inside of one of the mirrors that Haku was actually currently inside of, who was attacking Sasuke with Senbon from different angles. This would lead Naruto to pretty much end up blitzing into the one that Haku's inside of and dragging him out, as he would throw him from mirror to mirror, and Haku would be running away, jumping in mirror to mirror, kind of like a Scooby-Doo scene, with Naruto following closely behind him. And suddenly, Naruto grabs Haku by the mask, smashing him down on the ground before creating an ice spike that would smash right into Haku's face, sending him flying away. As Sasuke, staring at all of this with his two Tomoe Sharingan, which would have evolved due to the fact that he was over here trying to face off against Haku, who was completely overwhelming him and putting him in a near death-like state, would actually lead Sasuke evolving his Sharingan. Oh, and quick thing, I'm not sure if I said in the previous part that Sasuke had already unlocked his Sharingan in this timeline, but if I did, just completely, let's just completely forget that I said something like that, because I kind of have a feeling that I did say that. But With that being the case, Naruto would absolutely end up destroying Haku, knocking him out, as Sasuke would turn to see Naruto show off power that he had never shown before, and Naruto turning to Sasuke would just kind of like glare at him, being angered at the fact that he nearly died because of Sasuke. Naruto, realizing that Kakashi was still facing off against Zabuza, would blitz in the way as he would go on to hit Zabuza away, as Zabuza would be like, "Impossible! You defeated Haku?" And as this would be taking place, Gato and his men would arrive as he would go on to badmouth Zabuza, telling him that this is ridiculous. He paid him all this money just so he could kill some old bridge builder, but he couldn't even defeat a bunch of kids? Gato would begin laughing as he would go on to pretty much tell him that if he wants a job done right, he's gotta do it himself. From here, he would turn to all of his men before telling them that they need to go out there and take care of Zabuza as well. And Zabuza, hearing this, would turn to Kakashi saying, "Guess this battle's over," as he would grab his blade and say, "Gato, you went back on your word," rushing towards him and killing all of his men this time, before finally arriving towards Gato and completely cutting his head from his body. At this moment, Zabuza would walk towards the direction of Haku, look at Naruto, and tell him that he's strong to keep improving, as he would take Haku, throwing him over his shoulder, and Zabuza and Haku would leave, never to be seen again in this what if, or maybe I'll introduce them again. But anyways, with that being the case, Naruto would still be named would still have the bridge named after him, and suddenly we would time skip to the team being greeted by Hiruzen, who would ask them how their mission went. At this point, Kakashi would go on to explain that their mission went actually pretty well, but Tazuna had ended up lying a bit about the mission stakes, going on to explain what Naruto showed off, how incredible he was and how impressive he was, as he would go on to tell Naruto, or Hiruzen, that he thinks that he can copy Kekkei Genkai as well, seeing as he ended up even copying Haku's Ice Kekkei Genkai, which shouldn't even be possible. Hiruzen, after hearing this, would think to himself that that is incredible, but one more thought would come to his head. If he can copy Kekkei Genkai, there might be a chance that now they could actually have two wood users in the village. As from this point, Hiruzen would go on to pretty much tell Naruto to stay back for a second, asking him if he's willing to learn a couple new abilities. As Naruto, hearing this, would ask Hiruzen if he means what he thinks he's saying, and Hiruzen would nod. From here, Kakashi would stay back with Naruto and Hiruzen as they would make their way towards training grounds, where Hiruzen would actually end up inviting Yamato to come in and make an appearance, to which Yamato would go on to be told to display all of his woodjutsu abilities, as Naruto would begin copying them one by one. Yamato would be absolutely stunned, asking him if he actually had some sort of operation done to himself as well, to inherit the abilities of Hashirama Senju, but Naruto would say that that's not the case, pointing to his eyes and going on to tell him that the reason he can use these abilities just as well is because he's actually copying him. And Yamato, hearing this, would think to himself that that kid has tremendous potential. From here, Hiruzen would go on to show him a bunch of jutsu as well, and Kakashi would even whip out a couple more from his repertoire, as Naruto would just get stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where Hiruzen would be so enamored with Naruto's talent that he would even offer him the ability to create a summoning scroll or a summoning pact with Monkey King Enma, who would even like agree to this instantly, being like, "Yes, I want to work with this kid, like he's so powerful," you know? So by the time that the Chunin exams roll around, Naruto's already literally gonna be like borderline Hokage level, and if he's not one, he can pretty much just steal a Hokage's abilities mid-fight. That honestly at this age might straight up burn out his eyes though, because at this moment, with Naruto learning all of these high-ranking abilities, by the end of it, Naruto would have finally ended up experiencing one drawback. His eyes burned like never before, and Naruto found himself that his eyes were so strained he had to literally keep them closed for 2 days. So Naruto would find one thing out: there's definitely a limit to how much Naruto can do in one day, and how far Naruto can take his body and push itself. So Naruto, taking account of that, would go on to pretty much know that he should not just be copying everything silly-willy, you know what I mean? So with that being said, finally the day of the Chunin exams would roll around, as just like in the original, Rock Lee would end up making his appearance, going on to challenge the Rookie of the Year, which this time around would actually be Naruto, who would quickly shut down Rock Lee, telling him that right now he just kind of wants to conserve his energy, saying, "Besides, I'm out of your league." As from here, Rock Lee, hearing this, would think to himself that he needs to prove himself, but simultaneously, Sasuke would have the same idea, as he would go on a step between Naruto and Rock Lee, going on to pretty much say why is he challenging him when he could fight him instead, and Rock Lee, hearing this, would say, alright, very well, if I defeat you, then Naruto, will you face me? Naruto would go on to turn towards Rock Lee, saying, sure, if you can beat Sasuke here, then I guess you're good enough to fight me. As from here, Rock Lee would go on to actually stomp Sasuke with a lot more effort than he would have in the original, which would leave Lee kind of tired, but Naruto, having seen his battle, would actually copy a couple of Rock Lee's abilities, instantly starting their own fight with the Leaf Hurricane, immediately catching Rock Lee off guard, as suddenly Lee would end up undoing his first gate, with Naruto doing the same, as Might Guy, watching all of this take place, would be like, Lee, we have to go. What are you doing unleashing the first inner gate? As Rock Lee would go on to say that he's so sorry, and Might Guy, turning towards Naruto, would be absolutely shocked that this kid displayed the ability to open one of the gates, having never even known of this kid before. As Naruto would go on to thank Lee for the new abilities, and Might Guy would wonder what he means by that, thinking to himself that he's gonna have to ask Kashi about that. But that's going to be having to wait for part 3, which hopefully I'll be able to record for you guys tomorrow if I'm not feeling even more sick, because I'm not going to lie, I feel sick still, but not that sick. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, leave a like on today's video, share the video with a friend or something like that, and leave a comment down below reporting your attendance. But with all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, it has been your boy Xehther. I love each and every single one of you guys, and I am out. Peace!